Hey, everybody, and welcome to the third episode of the Cause Correct podcast. My name is Risper Wanja Njagi, and I am your host. I'm so excited we finally get to do this third episode because it's been a whole 2 weeks. Oh my god, since we published the last one, but I'm so happy we finally get to do this. It's been a lot going on in my life and within my family in the last couple of weeks. But I'm pretty sure that that is information that's definitely going to come up at some point in the history of this podcast. For now, I would like us to carry on from where we left in the last episode, where we were exploring the story behind Cause Correct. So, if it's your very first time here, as I said, I am Risper Wanja. I am the founder of Cause Correct. Cause Correct is a combination of many projects that I am doing, but the goal is not to benefit just me, but a lot more people. Cause Correct is like a mental health. So that's, to me, mental health is spiritual health, emotional health. So Cause Correct is like a mental health recovery movement for young people and also for people who are young at heart, who want to recover bits of their lives that they may have either lost or given up on because maybe they have felt like their chance is over, or like they've wasted too much opportunity, or maybe they've had mindsets that have held them back and kept them stuck in places that are no longer serving them. But the goal with Cause Correct is like get back on track, you can redeem yourself, you can be redeemed. No one is too messed up to be redeemed. So as I say, this is the third episode, but it's like part 2 of the story of Cause Correct. I feel like by the end of this episode, the one thing I would want you to carry away would be a question, which is, what is your relationship with failure as a person? And I know that that's a lot, like, Rispa, geez, why would you want to talk about failure when there's like so many other things that someone can talk about? But I will explain why. So a short recap of what we covered last time in part 1 of this, the story behind Cause Correct, was I pointed out that the places where we grow really do shape stories. They really do shape our stories. They really do shape our attitudes. They really do shape the way that we show up in the world, whether that be in the workplace, whether that be in like wherever we go. The places where we've come from, the experiences that we've had, they affect it big time. So in sharing this, I covered a bit of my background, which is that I've come up from rural Kenya. I've had a bit of experiencing my parents not in the best of good terms. I also happen to be a girl with 2 daddies. Yeah, I have 2 fathers. Both of them, our relationships are quite something. I'm not saying it's bad, it's the card I was dealt, and I think it's fine. I hope it to be an inspiration to others as we go on in this journey. And maybe thirdly, I explained that due to the nature of how I grew up, I relied very heavily for a very long time on my grades as a source of confidence and as a source of identity. So when I went to an institution that is in high school, to an institution whereby like everyone was equally smart, everyone was equally, like you already have so many advantages working for you. There are so many people who had so many advantages already working for them. And I think for me, it took me a bit by surprise. I wasn't ready. I had not been mentally or psychologically prepared that I would be meeting, like other people who Yeah, they're equally good at school. So basically, I had to find a source of identity, but I didn't know how to do that. And I think one of the things I covered very passionately in that last episode was that honestly, society, people in leadership need to cut it with the I would have called it BS, but I'm trying to find Christian words to explain this. But what I meant is that I have seen a lot of backlash online where people in leadership and like mentors and whoever else, there's a category of people who are very anti Gen Z, especially that. And by Gen Z, I think I would think it also applies to millennials who've not really figured out who they are. But I've seen a lot of backlash whereby these elder, wiser, smarter people talk about the young people of our generation, those ones who are like late time, like end time millennials and early Gen Zs, and now the pure Gen Zs, who I believe are from the year 2000. And you find these people saying, oh, this generation is too, they're too dependent. At the same time, they are too entitled. Maybe at the same time, they have no self-esteem and they're always looking for validation from people and from online. And I explained categorically that I think this mentors people, anyone who has a responsibility of working with young people, needs to be very careful about what they say and the words that they use, just because well, you want to say that this is a generation of people that do not know who they are, or maybe they are too entitled, they don't know how to work with people, they're impatient, they are, there's so many stereotypes of what this generation is before you use all of these words, and especially those ones who come up against the category of young people who genuinely what they're looking for is validation. I said categorically that parents, teachers, society does have a responsibility to raise people and to affirm them. And if that is a step that is skipped in the process of people growing up, they're still going to need it even when they're older. So you cannot blame, or rather, I believe that society shouldn't be blaming any young people for looking for validation from people, from things, just because if they didn't get it, they will still need it. Like, I don't think you can skip processes. I've been reading the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the very, very early quotes in the book is that there can be no results for a good life, or rather of a good life, if the life has not been well lived. Basically, to mean that processes cannot be skipped. When people are growing up, processes can equally not be skipped. If they are, they still have to be made up for. Okay? So that's what I meant by saying, okay, am I doing a good job of this summary? I'm not. Yes, I believe so. So let's go on. So yeah, I was saying that society needs to be very careful. Elder people, mentors, people who are running institutions, people who are running programs that concern young people, they definitely have to be very careful the kind of words they use, because we need to look at, has society truly played its role enough in young people to demand that young people should be showing up a certain way? Maybe they should be more mature, maybe they should be more self-dependent, and more now going into the interdependency stage where they work well with other people. Like, you can have all of these expectations. Question is, have you done the work that is required to earn you the right to make the demands that you want to make out of young people? Anyway, that was like my rant. And why I was sharing this is because of my own story, which is primarily that because of how hungry I was for validation. When I finally came across someone who I looked up to, they were 10 years older, they were a man. I don't know whether that's a big deal, but I think, so this person was a man. I was 19, 20, 21 years, primarily for the years that we worked very closely together. But this person, like 6 months into our mentor-mentee relationship, or maybe it was longer than that, maybe in the 8th month of our relationship, is when now he told me the exact words: Risper, you are going to fail in this project. And if this project fails, it is not the other members of your team that are going to be seen to fail. It is you who shall be seen as a failure. And failure is not an option. This opportunity has the capacity to change your life for good. It has the capacity to place you on an international forum. You guys will excuse the way my light is coming off. I'm trying to use my laptop for this light. This is just for today. Please bear with me. But I was saying, yeah, so this person tells me the words, this project is going to fail, but this project cannot afford to fail. So this person was first and foremost older. So power dynamics were involved, okay? And then the words they used, as I gave a background in the previous episode, honestly, you'd have to check it out. Primarily, I say that I had been hungry for validation. I had been hungry. Like, I'm not ashamed to admit it. Please, even now, I still do. I just have the advantage that I know how to sort of parent myself a bit more than I used to know in the past. So there's a few things working in my advantage right now that makes it possible for me to even get the validation that I want from people who are genuine. But when I was in, my late teens and early 20s, I really, 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 really needed and wanted. My heart was hungry. My soul was hungry for just anyone to validate me, to tell me who I am, to show me the way. So when this elder person happened to come into my life, courtesy of this essay writing competition that I participated in, got shortlisted, and now this person, this man, we called him Joe in the last podcast episode. When this Joe person came into my life, his life story sounded very similar to mine, and it made me feel like, maybe I finally have a blueprint and a template for how I can make my life successful, just like this man Joe has. All right, but now some months down the our relationship between me and this person who I considered a mentor, you could say maybe there were lines that were crossed unnecessary. To explain that, maybe it will come up in future episodes, but primarily, actually, I wanted to just cover that the whole backbone of Course Correct is founded on my relationship with failure. I really wanted to avoid using my, so that it didn't sound like it's a me thing. But I think it would be impossible to tell the story of Course Correct without pointing out that this is like a correction of my relationship with failure. Why? Because when this person had told me these words, Risper, this project looks like it's going to fail. This project cannot afford to fail, because if it fails, it's you who will be seen to be failing, and the whole international community will be watching. Once again, if this is your first time interacting with this story, the long and short of it is that I was involved in a project whereby there were like 100 other people involved as spectators, and these 100 other people were from like 48 different countries in the world. Then the organization that was funding this project has a GDP that is bigger than Kenya. I think in 2018 the company was worth like 6.1 trillion. So it's it's clear, you can tell it's a big company. So the fact that this was a company that was funding my project means that maybe there's a way I could have done that project in a manner that places me on some radar of maybe getting more opportunities with this organization. To be honest, I think this person meant well. They meant very well by saying that Risper, failure is not an option. You cannot afford to fail. If this fails, it is you who will be seen as failing. However, there's something that I wanted to point out as a part of this episode. And this is a message to any person, leaders, church leaders, whoever. People who have the responsibility of dealing with young people, whether as mentors, whether as their leaders, their teachers, whatever, you have a level of authority over young people. I think I would honestly like to say that it's important that such people, I think including myself, now that I'm on a platform where other people are going to hear me, it's very important to have discernment. There are words that are well meant, but if said to the wrong mind, if said to the wrong heart, then those words, however good, however well intentioned, are not going to have the intended result, all right? Why I'm saying this is because at the time when this Joe person was telling me these words like this project will fail, and if it fails, it's you who's going to fail, I was honestly depressed. I was depressed out of so many other things with school because I was in campus third year at the time. I was depressed. I was having a few struggles here and there in my relationship with my biological father. At the same time, I had just sort of separated with one of my best friends, not as an enmity, but we had been living together for a very long time, and now we had separated. So there's like separation anxiety. I don't know. There was a lot of things going on. Basically, my heart wasn't okay. My mind wasn't okay. I was not okay. I was going through a heartbreak as well. So when these words were said to someone who already has a very brittle mind, a very sensitive mind, and this is a person who's already hungry and thirsty for validation because of her history, like all of these things combined made me feel like this person whom I truly looked forward to had seen flaws in me, like flaws, mistakes, imperfections in me. That's why he was talking about failure like this. And because I believed in his history, in all the things that he had achieved, being someone who was only 10 years older than me and had achieved a lot, like I really wanted to be like this person. So their life to me, as I had mentioned earlier, felt like a template. So when they say these words, the words may not have been maybe the most horrible, but it did solidify at the time my relationship with failure, of which what these words did to me is that one, they confirmed a fear I already had, which was I was really afraid that this project was going to fail. Secondly, now because this is a person I trust, their words are like the gospel truth, like I really trusted everything they're saying is true. They know what they're saying. So when this person tells me, Risper, you're going to fail, and if you fail, this is a reflection on you and you cannot afford to fail, failure is not an option, like these words, I mean, you can tell they really have been living in my head for a very long time. When this happened and I started meditating on these words, then remember the state of my heart when these words concerning failure were said was also very brittle. It made me make a conclusion. I was already afraid of failure at the time. Generally in life, my biggest failure had always been, oh, maybe I'll never amount to anything. And just for the record, I'm saying it out loud because that's not the case. I do not believe that I will not, that nothing will become out of my life. And I hope if you're here and you believe that, honestly, just go change it. If you can't change it, and I know it's ridiculous for people who have never had like negative intentions for themselves, but yes, there are people out here whose biggest failure is that maybe they'll not amount to something, or maybe they'll not become as big as they seem to promise. Okay. Anyway, if you're a person who feels like that, I honestly truly encourage you to take some time to just explore that fear of failure in life. I won't touch much on it today, but there's something I learned in therapy around self-fulfilling prophecies, that the things that you give the most attention to. So whether that be your fears, your shame, your whatever, like what you set your mind to a lot, what you pay attention to a lot is eventually what always gets fulfilled. All right. But now for me, I'm changing that narrative. However, too many things. Self-fulfilling prophecies, that is something we shall cover in detail in another episode altogether. I wanted to say, now that this is the story of Cause Correct. Cause Correct, as I said, there are very many goals, or maybe it's the same goal, just expressed in different words. In the last episode, I said that Cause Correct is like a cleansing of the soul. It's like a cleansing of your heart, a cleansing of your mind, a cleansing of the systems and structures within our subconscious that have been supporting the idea that maybe we are too far gone and we cannot be redeemed. I say that Cause Correct is founded on my relationship with failure just because for quite a number of years, I've had a very, very, very unhealthy relationship with failure. And what I mean is that it's been a relationship of too much fear of failure that I was willing to forgo opportunities, even those ones that are good for me, even those ones that I could get, because I was too afraid to fail, so I didn't even start in the first place. At the same time, this fear of failure, so first it made me not to try out things. It also made me this fear. I'm not saying that person caused the fear, but this relationship with fear, to claim that it didn't come through this person would also to be inauthentic, because stories need to be told correctly and accurately. We're not trying to blame anyone, but it's also important to acknowledge that what people have said and done in our lives has had an impact on us. And I think if we're going to redeem ourselves, we will have to look at those stories straight in the face. That I have a relationship with failure that has not been very healthy. The primary place it came from was that maybe I was always afraid of failure. I didn't know that I was. But when a mentor told me I couldn't afford to fail, it just produced very different kind of results in me because I trusted this person. And I would really, oh gosh, I think anyone who deals with young people honestly just needs to be prayerful or something. You just need discernment. So that even right words that are not said to the right heart or said to a mind that is not in the right state of mind, it doesn't have the intended effect. It will never have the intended effect. It will not have a good effect. And we don't want to be the people who pretend like what people have done and said in our lives has not affected us. Because if we're not honest with our stories, then I don't see how we can redeem those stories, how we can write over those stories. You know, it'd be like whatever happened was maybe chapter 1, that was the foundation. But now we are going to write different stories altogether. We can do that, but first we need to acknowledge the stories that already have been. So I wanted to say that I was explaining my relationship with failure for this life. It's been like last couple of years, like 6 years, made me very afraid to try out new things. And then also failure now to try out new things becomes like a spiral, because now you'll find yourself telling yourself, oh my God, Risper, you had this opportunity, you didn't even try it, you didn't even, and all of these stories are telling yourself you had an opportunity, you didn't take it. when there's so much similar talk in your head, you start believing that you're actually a failure. Like, oh my God, I had chances and I didn't pursue them. I had this and I didn't do it. I wanted to do this and I didn't do it. So this relationship, it's a very emotional relationship, I would have to say. But that's a story for another day as well. The power of our emotions. Yeah, we'll definitely need to cover that very soon because they're critical. They're very important. How we feel about things is very key. But anyway, just to conclude why Cause Correct is founded on this relationship with failure is because this relationship with failure now also caused me a lot of shame. When the results of the project I was involved in were not exactly what I hoped or what I thought they would be, I couldn't even celebrate the wins that were already there because I felt like, oh, well, it has already failed. And what everyone, because that's what my mentor said, what everyone can see, what everyone is thinking is, Risper girl, you are such a mess. You had a great international opportunity and you messed it up. And because you messed it up, now what? I felt like I didn't deserve other opportunities. I felt this, I don't know, like the words of this person just went to some place deep within my soul. But as I explained, please be careful. I'm not saying these words concerning failure were necessarily ill-intentioned, nor am I blaming this person for what the last 6 years of my life have looked like. I'm just saying that it would be impossible to tell the story of what I am trying to achieve with Cause Correct, starting with myself, like get back on track, do everything I've ever believed that I could do, try everything that I've ever wanted to try, even if it feels like it's late, just do it, I'm not trying to blame the person, but I am saying that the way that this person delivered, that the words that they delivered to me has had a long-term effect on me to this very day. Now it's a bit different. I think I'm learning to speak back to the structures within my mind that supported the idea that I was cut out only for shame and for failure, and that there are different opportunities available for me. Mm, oh my. I think, let me just say honestly, my relationship with failure, this fear of failure, let me actually put it that way. This fear of failure made me feel like, first, failure is permanent. Secondly, you can't afford to. And how do you not feel in life? Like, it's almost impossible. As long as you are alive, there's always going to be, as long as, actually, let me maybe quote Brené Brown. She says that as long as we are brave enough for long enough, then at some point we are definitely going to fail. It's not a question of if, it's when are you going to fail. So if you have a relationship whereby you feel like, oh man, I can't afford to fail, failure is not an option, but thinking about it in a manner that puts you under a lot of pressure to not fail, then I think that's the time we start hurting ourselves. And the goal of Cause Correct is to, first and foremost, the goal of Cause Correct is to recover everything you've lost, the time you've lost, the opportunities you have lost. It's recover everything and then overtake. Recovering fast, you recover things that you've lost, all right? And then now overtaking is like going to take the territories that were yours, and overtaking means like you take over what was already yours, you take it over, like leadership and rulership over it, and then you like go forward, all right? That is what we want to do with Cause Correct. I explained that this story behind the birth of Cause Correct and how this relationship with failure has really affected my choices, primarily making me feel like I can't try again or like it was too late, just as a way to perhaps encourage everyone who's listening in to also explore. If you're someone who knows they need to course correct, basically you have dreams you've given up on, you have maybe trips you wanted to do, places you wanted to travel to that you haven't gone because you felt like, well, maybe it's too late, or maybe you've done and caused too many messes. Basically, I would want to encourage you to go back to your story and look back at, you want to course correct, but what are the things, circumstances that led to a need for course correction for you? I think it's important so that you can always come back to it in future, because it's going to be like, for me, my relationship with failure and the fact that I can tell how it has affected me this far and how long it has affected me, and that relationship with failure being a focal point for how we write all the messages for course correct are like, that relationship, that understanding is very important, because even if I go away for like 3 weeks, when I come back, the message in my head is very clear. Risper, you can't afford to give up. Like, no matter what happens, even if I almost die or go to rehab or wherever for like 10 years, I want to believe that I will not give up on the idea of writing every song I've ever wanted to write, doing every podcast I've ever wanted to do, writing every article I've wanted to write. And for us, we who are joining this course correct journey, that's the idea. Part of course correcting, part of recovering what you have lost is do all of the things that you have wanted to do previously that you didn't do because of mindsets and thought structures and thought patterns that were against you. Try them all, okay? As long as you still have the opportunity to try them all. But for me, I just wanted to clarify in these 2 episodes that the story of course correct is the story of recovering every single thing that we have lost, every single thing that we have counted ourselves out of having or getting or trying, out of the belief that none of us is too messed up to be redeemed, okay? And I explored that the relationship with failure is what has led to this place, because my relationship with failure has crippled so many things in my life, because fear of failure means that, oh gosh, so many things. I've had literal fear paralysis where I couldn't even type down things. Like, my brain, my insides, everything just got like, it just all got paralyzed together. So failure, my relationship with failure has been a major influence to me, choosing that no matter how long I have felt like I have failed, it's still not too late. So for you, my last message for you here is that our stories are very critical, and the different ingredients and aspects of our stories that have shaped who we are today are critical and important to pay attention to and explore, as much as, even if there are relationships you have with yourselves, maybe with success, maybe with failure, maybe with asking for help, whatever. I don't know what your thing is. Mine has been like the biggest challenge in my life, I would say, has been around my relationship with failure. But the idea is I want to encourage you to like go back to your story. Like, what is your story of correcting your journey, of getting back on track? If you need to get back on track on anything, where did you lose it? What are the mindsets that have been supporting you staying in the lost space? And so that, more importantly, as we go ahead, you're very clear on why you want to course correct, how you want to course correct, and what you want to achieve by the end of this journey. Thank you so much once again for indulging me and being a part of this project. My name is Risper Wanja Njagi. I will be your host for Course Correct for the foreseeable future. We have a lot of things to explore. And we will have the next episode tomorrow, actually, so stay tuned in. And for the people who want to follow more religiously, I'm gonna do something a bit different, which is these days I may release more than one episode, just because I want to catch up for the time that we have lost, or I feel like we have lost since the very first episode that we did. But till the next one, I'm so grateful for your time. Thank you for your audience, and honestly, I look forward to continuing to serve you. And yeah, I feel like we know a bit of what Cause Correct is about. It's getting back on track. My journey has been primarily inspired by the toxic relationship with failure that I've had. I don't know what that is for you, but I pray that you're going to get it. And just because this is the first time, I feel like we're now going to really start Course Correct and everything. I would like to pray for us. So let me close this with a short prayer. I believe in Jesus. I believe in God the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. But that doesn't mean that if someone isn't subscribed to this same faith, the content in Cause Correct won't make sense. It's just that it's impossible for me to speak about the concept of redeeming time, redeeming ideas, redeeming our confidence, redeeming everything that we have lost without talking about God, because that's the only place I have personally found refuge, right? So let me pray for all of us. Father, in Jesus' name, thank you for everyone that has tuned in. Thank you for everyone that has listened at whatever point in time they're listening, whether it's in 2024 or 2029, wherever they will get this. I pray for everyone that needs to Cause Correct that, Father, you're going to give us the courage, the strength, the boldness to get up and pursue everything that we have lost, recover it, and even overtake. I pray for everyone that needs courage, that needs help, that needs whatever kind of help we need. May you cause it to come across to every single person that is tuned in now and even in future. I thank you for your good plans for us, plans to give us a future and a hope. And I pray that everyone that has lost hope is going to find it through the words and through the ministry and the work that is going to be done through the Cause Correct podcast. With that, I pray in Jesus' name. Amen. See you guys in the next one. It's been an honor and a joy to address you. I feel like I have it's like two shades of skin. My God, what are this? Anyway, have the best of times and see you in the next episode. My name is Risper. This is the Cause Correct podcast where no one is too messed up to be redeemed. See ya.